It's a pleasure to have you join us again on another edition of our breakfast program, a newspaper review program, Press Drive, right here on your darling station, I-FLIER 103.3 FM IBADAN. Thank you very much once again. Good morning to you. How are you doing this lovely morning? Let's delve into the newspapers very quickly without wasting our time. I have the Punch and the Nation newspapers. I'll start with the headlines before we move to details of the stories we want to look at this morning. Joining me for analysis is Honorable Femi at DBC. When it's time you get to hear his voice. We're live on our Facebook page at I-FLIER 103.3 FM live. At I-FLIER 103.3 FM live. Like, share, follow us. And if you want to react to any of the stories this morning, do feel free to drop a comment right there on our Facebook page. You can also reach us via studio lines. When it's time, I get to open them up. Thank you very much once again for joining us on Press Drive this morning. I am your driver. Esther Atilola is my name. Like I said earlier, I have the Nation and the Punch newspapers. I start with the headlines of the Nation newspaper, and then move to that of the Punch, and then we check the details of the stories we want to look at this morning. And one of the top headlines right there on the Nation newspaper includes IBADAN Court okays PDP's planned convention. IBADAN Court okays PDP's planned convention. Federal government: Nigeria will come out stronger from CPC label crisis. Federal government: Nigeria will come out stronger from CPC label crisis. Many insurgents killed as troops repel attack on military base. Many insurgents killed as troops repel attack on military base. Capital Life report: 53% growth in shareholders' funds. Away from that, Doherty fought FIRS on 15% petrol import duty. Doherty fought FIRS on 15% petrol import duty. Okpebolo to rebuild General Hospital. Okpebolo to rebuild General Hospital. Fear grips Osun PDP over Wike's comment on Adeleke. Fear grips Osun PDP over Wike's comment on Adeleke. Other headlines on the Nation newspaper this morning: I didn't leave 600 billion naira debt. I didn't leave 600 billion naira debt, says Obaseki. Say no to vote buying, election rigging. Amukpita wants politicians. Say no to vote buying, election rigging. Amukpita wants politicians. Nigeria-Vietnam pact on cashew will aid tech transfer. Nigeria and Vietnam in agriculture. Let's go through the last set of headlines on the Nation newspaper this morning. This one says President seeks fresh 1.15 trillion naira domestic loan to fund budget deficit. President seeks fresh 1.15 trillion naira domestic loan to fund budget deficit. Federal government targets 7 million youths to acquire digital skills and vocational training. Stake in Dangote refinery. NNPC eyes 20% stake in Dangote refinery. United States lawmaker slams China, backs proposed military action in Nigeria. United States lawmaker slams China, backs proposed military action in Nigeria. Excess crude account grows 13% in 2 years. Excess crude account grows 13% in 2 years. Passengers protest dollar-only ticket sales by airlines. Passengers protest dollar-only ticket sales by airlines. Still on the Punch newspaper, Nigeria's sovereignty must be respected, says EU. Nigeria's sovereignty must be respected, says European Union. Monfa loses bid to quash 6 billion naira money laundering charges. Monfa loses bid to quash 6 billion naira money laundering charges. Fayose bitter after losing grip of Ekiti PDP. Fayose bitter after losing grip of Ekiti PDP, says group. Anambra poll, Amokwito promises smooth logistics. Police warn criminals. Anambra poll, Amokwito promises smooth logistics. Police warn criminals. Makojola welcomes appointment to LASU Governing Council. Makojola welcomes appointment to LASU Governing Council. Still on the Punch newspaper, this Governing Council. Still on the Punch newspaper this morning, zoning cost PDP 2023 Abia election. Zoning cost PDP 2023 Abia election, says Board of Trustees. Reps tackle ministers at contractors' protest at National Assembly. Reps tackle ministers as contractors protest at National Assembly. Other headlines on the Punch newspaper, Makinde's advisor defends governor over Wike's attack. Makinde's advisor defends governor over Wike's attack. Ex-minister rallies Anambra community for Soludo's re-election. Ex-minister rallies Anambra community for Soludo's re-election. Senate committee visit to Southeast plant revives auto industry hopes. Senate committee's visit to Southeast plant revives auto industry hopes. Let's go through the last set of headlines on the Punch newspaper and we'll wrap up with the headlines this morning. Anambra poll, IPAC urges voters to reject vote buying and intimidation. Anambra poll, IPAC urges voters to reject vote buying and intimidation. DSS confirms progress on terror cases. Trials resume November 19th. DSS confirms progress on terror cases. Trials resume November 19th. Ogun Varsity workers protest over cancellation of government-approved 2-day off. Ogun Varsity workers protest over cancellation of government-approved 2-day off. Nigeria to boost engineers' global recognition by joining Sydney Accord. Nigeria to boost engineers' global recognition by joining Sydney Accord. Sanwo-Olu urges Nigerians to protect Dangote refinery, support Tinubu. Sanwo-Olu urges Nigerians to protect Dangote refinery, support Tinubu. And finally, on the Punch newspaper this morning, federal government to overhaul dilapidated police training colleges. Federal government to overhaul dilapidated police training colleges. Thank you very much for still being with us on Price Drive this morning. Let's bring our analysts in on some of the details of the stories we want to look at this morning. Honorable Femi Adebisi, good morning and welcome to Price Drive.
My pleasure being with you, Queen Esther. Good morning and good morning, Nigerians. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Remember, you can be a part of the conversation on Price Drive. You can call the studio lines, which I'll open when it's time. We're live on our Facebook page at I-FLIER 103.3 FM Live. Like, share, follow us, and if you want to react on the stories this morning, do feel free to drop a comment right there. Alright, we started with the controversy on ground, which is like one of the trending stories happening in Nigeria and even in the United States. US eyes religious prosecutors trial. China backs Tinubu. Following its designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern, the United States has said it will work with the federal government to take decisive actions aimed at arresting perpetrators of religious violence, protecting Christians, and rescuing those held hostage. The chair of the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom, Vicky Adler, whose recommendation led President Donald Trump to blacklist Nigeria as a violator of religious freedom, disclosed this while welcoming the U.S. leader's decision. Adler, in a statement, commended Trump for taking steps to address what she described as the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. China, however, voiced strong support for Nigeria and criticized what it called foreign interference in the country's internal affairs. Okay, now let me add this story to you so that we can put all of the stories together as regards this one. United States lawmaker slams China backs proposed military action in Nigeria. United States lawmaker Riley Moore has criticized China for warning Washington against a proposed military action in Nigeria over alleged genocide against Christians, insisting that Beijing will not dictate America's foreign policy. In a post shared on his X handle on Tuesday, Moore expressed support for U.S. President Donald Trump's position on defending Christians in Nigeria. He stated that the U.S. had a moral responsibility to defend religious freedom. Let's now put this last story so that we can just address everything together. Nigeria's sovereignty must be respected, says European Union. The European Union has reaffirmed its respect for Nigeria's sovereignty, distancing itself from external pressures while pledging continued collaboration with the country in peace building, interfaith dialogue, and human rights protection. EU Ambassador to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Gochia Mignot, stated this on Tuesday in Lagos during an interview with newsmen, where he clarified the bloc's position following United States President Donald Trump's recent remarks on Nigeria, rather than the views of other nations. He affirmed that the EU and its member states fully respect Nigeria's sovereignty and its constitutional commitment to religious neutrality. So let's put all of these headlines together. Nigeria's sovereignty must be respected. United States lawmaker slams China, backs proposed military action in Nigeria. And finally, U.S. eyes religious prosecutors trial. China backs Tinubu. Let's start with the stories.
Oh, well, yes, I think I'm also of the opinion that the sovereignty of this country should be respected by any country whatsoever. But the issue is this: when your sovereignty is constituting a kind of threat to the outside world, when your sovereignty is constituting a kind of threat to the people when it comes to homeland security, then it becomes a subject of concern to the entire world. And United Nations is not left out. And you need to understand that United Nations is a very strong partner of Nigeria when it comes to security issues. They've been assisting us. Do you know how much
you mean EU? European Union?
I'm talking about United States now. What we collect from the United States annual basis on issue bordering on security and other cases is as close to, it's close to, it's between an average of a breach on our whole constitution. The constitution granted what to call a kind of penal codes, under Sharia law, but which does not extend to criminal activities. But they go ahead and start maiming people and do all sorts of things. In one way or the other, we have been compromising what to call, efforts at, curbing insecurity in Nigeria by ourselves. So, we are now becoming international nuisance. What's our responses Okay, look at, if you check out the major, in the major, what do you call it now? The major, so by our actions suggest that, something is happening somewhere. Maybe for political reasons, maybe for the issue of diversity, as mentioned by the Vice President at the United Nations General Assembly. And let me tell you another thing on a frank note. Our President is largely responsible. The Constitution vested that power on him, unlimited power when it comes to the issue of security. In fact, sole power. He's the only one, the only commander-in-chief that can say go and come. And not only that, we compromise even Homeland Security because the police are not well security. So it means that they came ill-prepared, or maybe they hide their preparation, well, which might be technical, but when they get there, what did they do? People are dying, people are being killed every day. And for the people that said there's no Christian genocide, I think they need to go back to God and plead for mercy, so that the blood of the people that are being killed will not. I'm asserting today there is Christian genocide in the land. How about Deborah? Now, there's Muslim genocide as well. I have to understand. A section of I analyzed some time ago. A section, the Sunnis against the Shiites are there. So the Muslims they are killing, they know the sect of Muslims they are killing. Support is imminent and unavoidable. Yet, of course, we don't want our security, we don't want our resources to be compromised. We need to balance the equation. The reason why some of us right here, especially in the South, are saying nothing like that, it doesn't matter much, is because we are not seriously affected. Do you know that Amatako was not even constituted until when the daughter of a prominent Yoruba man was killed? That was why we gathered at the International Conference Center. So must you wait until the children of prominent people are affected before you take action? Must you wait for America before you take action? All these are moral questions, apart from law or whatever, or constitution.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We have Engineer Gabriel Babalola joining us on Press Drive this morning. It's good to have you. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Esther. Good morning, Honorable. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you very much for coming this morning. All right, we're talking about the US-Nigeria situation, and now China is backing Nigeria, or backing Tinubu. Quickly react to that. Let me read this headline so that you can react to it. United States eyes religious prosecutors trial. China backs Tinubu. Following its designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern, the United States has said
stakes in Nigeria. But I just want to advise our president, and I want to advise people that advise him. I want to advise people who analyze like we do, that Nigeria, or let's say President Tinubu, should not rest his back on China's backing, because China has not been in war in like 45 years. Since World War II, China has not really been participating in any military war almost at all. So and China has a larger stake in Taiwan than it currently has in Nigeria, and China has not stepped its foot on ground to properly fight America in Taiwan, that is at the backyard of China. So if America could cross the Pacific, is it the Pacific now? Down to South China Sea, and take Taiwan from China, and China is still yet to take with all the show of force that they did in September and all of that. They said they have this ICBM that cannot be intercepted, and all these things they are saying, they are still not able to go into Taiwan to fight the United States. Nigeria should not just that news, just ignore it, that China is going to back Nigeria in any way. So let's just face what's on ground now. And the way Trump has put a spotlight on this issue, and he said Nigerian government should move fast, or else we come gun a-blazing. And we've seen American soldiers doing videos and say, see, we have packed our bags, we are coming down there, and all of that. So Nigerian government should just do the needful, which I think may be actually too late now. Yes, I think maybe too late, because people are dying. Yes, many people are saying America may want, Nigerian oil like they do in Venezuela and all of that. Personally, I may not really rule that out. But when when you have situations in your country, if you don't want your country to be destabilized, you stabilize it by yourself. Because the way Nigeria is right now, Nigerians are already, Honorable talked about internally displaced people, and we've said it here several times that the people in those camps, they are not very much different from us.
Yeah.
Everyday people. We are internally displaced, though, in case you don't know.
Yeah.
Everybody is economically displaced. People cannot pay rent, people can't eat, people are displaced.
People are running away from their home because of debts.
That is what you just said now, that father missing, mother missing. You don't have to be in IDP before father is missing. Somebody was talking about a husband that left the house, and the wife and children were looking for him.
Run away
yes, the father just ran away because the man was just going to die the next day. You understand? So all these things are happening, and if you want it to stop, you have to show that you are interested in it stopping. And chaos need a greater chaos for it to stop. Adolf Hitler was moving in Western Europe, Blitzkrieg, or what do they call it, and he was conquering everywhere within 2 weeks. There needs to be a greater force of the Allied forces to stop him. So when you have chaos like you have chaos in Nigeria, Christians dying,
Muslim dying, even traditional people dying,
people who are atheists are also dying. When you have people dying,
atheists are dying.
Yeah, even atheists are dying. When you have people dying like that, you have a greater form of chaos, a greater form of violence to stop that and bring back order.
And the government is having time for luxury.
They have it. So,
sorry, so that we cannot put all of the stories together and to also buy time. Let's move to this. President seeks fresh 1.15 trillion naira domestic loan to fund budget deficit. President Bola Tinubu yesterday urged the Senate to consider and approve a fresh request of 1.15 trillion naira borrowing from the domestic debt market to finance the deficit in this year's budget. The request was contained in a letter read by Senate President Godswill Akpabio during plenary. President Tinubu stated that the proposed borrowing was aimed at bridging the funding gap and ensuring full implementation of government programs and projects outlined in this year's fiscal plan. Okay, and of course there are so many quotes as regards to that. And he says, based on the foregoing, some of the things he explained in the quote earlier, I wish to request for the approval of the Senate for the establishment of a 1.15 trillion naira borrowing program in the domestic debt market to close the unfunded 2025 budget deficit gap. And after reading the president's letter, Akpabio referred the request to the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debt, chaired by Senator Ali Wamako, for further legislative work and to report back within 1 week. So, President seeks fresh 1.15 trillion naira domestic loan to fund budget deficit. And let's add this story together so that you can both react to it together. 15% tariff, Nigerians to pay 1 trillion naira extra for petrol yearly. So Nigerians will pay an additional amount of about 1 trillion naira annually on petrol import, following the federal government's planned introduction of a 15% import tariff on petrol. A price analysis conducted by the Punch has shown. Okay, and of course the analysis and all of that went like that. So 15% tariff, Nigerians to pay 1 trillion naira extra for petrol yearly. And President Bola Tinubu seeks fresh 1.15 trillion naira domestic loan to fund budget deficit.
I don't think I envy President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's economic policy somersault. I don't think so. To me, it looked like a cheat. Cheat in the sense that what they are doing, a dollar can do. What do I mean? When you have economic crisis, a fertile mind will say, okay, how do I heal the economy without hurting the human being? Without hurting the people, without putting them to economic stress, without displacing them economically. That is what a genius will do. Bringing something out of nothing. Yeah, it's possible. Economically. Creating wealth, even where there's no resources. That is what a genius will do. But of course, the president came in and said, okay, yes, we are going to devalue the naira. They devalue. Nobody complained. Even when you complain, you are just granting. Then they said, yes, we are removing subsidy so that we get money. We won't go borrowing. In fact, they have no business borrowing, haven't removed fuel subsidy. Where are the gains? They said we are giving to the government, so go and meet them. No, that is not strategic. That is not strategic. And not only that, of course, they widen the tax net, coming in force. Now, they are now imposing levies and taxes on virtually everything. Maybe they will soon get down to the thin air that we breathe. Everything is being taxed in this country. And of course, as far as I know, when you have economic crisis in a country, they know that the people that are worse hit are the people. And what do? They give tax holidays to business so that prices of commodities will go down. Now we keep imposing taxes and levies so that prices of commodity will keep jumping up. The president said that we have turned the corner. I thought maybe Naira is going to be, probably be enhanced in value so that everybody will now have a new lease of life. But rather than having that, we are now having, I don't know. So now 50% on oil imported into the country.
Petrol.
Oh, petrol now. Yes, maybe they might be saying to save the local industry. But the local industry does not get enough crude from Nigeria. Still buy from America, still buy from Brazil, still buy from Canada. So 50% will also be attracted as well. Then what do you have at the end of the day from Ghana to Dangote? Higher oil prices. So, that's why I call it economic somersault. Recently, they said that FRS have made so much, even more than what they expected. So, meaning that they won't be borrowing internally. Now we are now borrowing internally. They said they've paid the prices and they've paid the loan taken from the central bank. Now we are now reverting to that places. Now the local contractors are now complaining. In fact, they are now complaining now that they did not even pay their debt. So, a whole lot of crisis here and there economically. That is economic somersault. So, if governance is all about borrowing to keep the nation going, that is, it means any other person can just go ahead and become the president.
All right.
I won't blame people like Obasanjo that said that this administration came without a clear-cut blueprint for security and for the economy. So, where are we now showing dexterity? Why are we not showing, I don't know. It's all about a tax-based economy, and the industry are dying. Economy is dying every day.
Engineer, let's take your thought on this and add this to it. Passengers protest dollar-only ticket sales by airlines. Passengers, as the Yuletide approaches, air passengers in Nigeria have expressed deep dissatisfaction over the continuous sale of flight tickets in foreign currencies, particularly the United States dollar. Many passengers fear that the policy will further inflate airfares and make travel increasingly unaffordable for the average Nigerian. So put it together very quickly.
So if they want that the loan to be approved in 1 week, if the government is that sporadic, if the government is that working very fast, let me just put it that way, why are they not doing that in the security of sector. The sector, to secure the people? If the 1 trillion, if they are so interested in helping out, I think they've been talking about it, that they do not want us to deal in foreign currencies, and they've been taking measures against people that they are not, they do not want.
No, not as if they don't want. It's even in the CBN Act 2022. Any transaction locally should be Nigerian naira. So, why American currency? You further devaluing your current dollar in that regard.
So I believe that the ministry actually knows about this and allows them, for them to continue to do business in Nigeria. And this is one of the reasons why there's a capital flight, because these investors will go. So you have to please them. So this is a core issue. It's a core issue because it's not going to change. These people complaining is not unless the government will have to subsidize it for those aviation companies, because it's not profitable for them. If they transact in naira, it's not going to be profitable for them. And right. so it's likely we see.
Very much. Let's come to Wike's story. Wike and Governor Makinde. And there are a couple of stories on that, and as regards PDP also. But very soon, by 7:15, we'll go on a quick break. So maybe we'll take your reactions after, very quickly, so that we can open the phone lines for our listeners. Wike Cake says, Oyo court lifts PDP convention ban. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Yesam Wike, has dismissed Tuesday's ruling of an Oyo State High Court approving the People's Democratic Party's proposed national convention scheduled for Saturday and Sunday, November 15th and 16th. 2025 in Ibadan. Justice Ladiran Akintola granted the ex parte motion filed on Monday by Fola Adilabi in suit number and all of that, and adjourned the case to November 10th, 2025 for hearing of the motion on notice. The Oyo order contradicts last Friday's judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja, which restrained the PDP from holding the convention. Now, delivering judgment, Justice James Omotosho ordered that the convention be halted while the party complies with its constitution, the Nigerian Constitution, and the Electoral Act. Justice Omotosho directed the PDP to go back and put its house in order and to give the statutory 21-day notice to INEC before it can proceed with the proposed convention and all of that. They also restrained the INEC and all. Now, in the Oyo case, the defendants, which included the PDP national chairman for himself, the National Working Committee, National Executive Committee, Adamawa State Governor, National Convention Organizing Committee, and INEC. Justice Akitola granted all interim orders sought by the claimant, restraining the defendant or their agent from truncating or frustrating the conduct of the party's scheduled national convention. The judge also directed the PDP leadership to strictly follow the guidelines, timetable, and schedule of activities earlier released for the convention, and ordered the party and its committees to hold, conduct, and convene the elective national convention as planned in Ibadan, pending determination of the motion on notice. So that's one particular story on the Wike kicking as Oyo State Court lifts PDP convention ban. We'll come back to this after we go on this break. When we come back, we'll take your reactions, Honorable and Engineer. Please stay with us.
Have you heard about Pending Hotels and Event Place? The Pending Hotels and Event Place is your spot for relaxation and entertainment, featuring an exquisite bar where a collection of tasteful drinks and cocktails are served. Enjoy your meals at the lounge restaurant with a menu of piping hot delicious dishes. Take advantage of the magnificent lodge for comfort, equipped with modern facilities including 24-hour power.
Consistent pattern of abusing friendships and destroying relationships, adding that Governor Makinde could never align himself with such a person. His comment followed Wike's remarks on Channels Television's Politics Today on Monday, where the minister denied having a close friendship with Makinde, insisting their relationship was strictly political. Wike also dismissed Makinde's potential of being elected Nigeria's president. We recall that Wike and Makinde were both part of the G5 group before the 2023 presidential election, which advocated for a southern presidency and opposed the ambition of the PDP candidate Atiku Abubakar. Wike, while speaking on Channels Television's program on Monday, said his disagreement with Makinde had nothing to do with political rivalry, but with the need to uphold party discipline within the PDP. Reacting to claims that the tension was linked to Makinde's alleged presidential ambition, he laughed off the speculation, saying, "Becoming president is not about being a PhD holder, an engineer, or a lawyer. Not about waking up in the morning and saying, I want to be a presidential candidate." Okay. However, Makinde's aide on Tuesday argued that Wike's alleged tendency to betray friends is reflected in his fractured relationships with former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi and Peter Odili, warning President Tinubu to be very wary of suffering a similar fate. So Makinde's advisor defends Governor over Wike's attack. And then the other headline which I read earlier, Wike kicks as Oyo Court upholds PDP convention.
Yeah, I think
or lifts PDP convention ban.
Yes. Honorable Dara Adeleke is my very close pal and a political leader. He's my leader in the party. Yes, I'm with him on one part. But of course, I think it will be too shallow to say that politics is all about friendship. No, it's not. It's never a case of friendship. Politics has never been like that. Politics is a game of interest. If your interests align, you are going together. If it doesn't, then you've departed from one another. So it's not a family matter. It's not a family issue. No, it's not about. It's not even about courtism. You can cross path today, then you can the paths can just fall apart the other day. So I think that settles that. And when it comes to the issue on ground, I think they need to study more under Wike. He understands the nitty-gritty of what you call politics. Maybe from the other angle. But when it comes to the issue of legal and law in politics, when it comes to calculation, they need to study more. I respect our governor here, Governor Makinde. But in this case, I think they are messing up. I wrote them some time ago that look, all this matter, well, before you go into convention, before you start planning, sort out all these legacies, especially those states where you don't where the congresses are questionable. It's all about processes, and those processes are legal, they are statutory. You need to fulfill them. Failure to fulfill them will lead to the detriment of that political party. So while law, constitution, electoral act and everything respect that, yes, parties should be left alone to solve their internal crisis, but when internal crisis goes beyond what you call internal crisis, then the legal has to the legal has the role to play. Well, there are exemptions. Part of that exemptions to what you call internal crisis or whatever include statutory violations. When you violate laws, then of course the court will have to step in. Breaches of party constitution, affecting rights, fraud or criminal misconduct, actions with constitutional or public law implications. So all those things, party does not have, they are not immune. But when it comes to the issue of all these like the Anjawu case within the bill, of course, yes, of course you can sort that one out. The party, the law will just shy away from that. But when it comes to the issue of not following what the electoral act says, that before you conduct your primaries, INEC need to be involved, well informed, properly, not just informed, properly informed. The necessary people signing the document 21 days prior before that particular Congress. When you miss that, then of course it's questionable, and whatever you do is null and void. All right. So rather than saying that they are going for all these double court in Oyo State, I think what they need to do was to follow the advice and contain the ruling of the Abuja court, that they should quickly put their house into your house in order and do the necessary before they go into convention. That is what they are advised to do, especially as starting those states where they are yet to have the
calculation might not really become as they have been calculating, that if I can take this person, this with this, it might not really be, So I just want people, as you are seeing the newspapers, I want you to believe in God and take your voter's card,
right,
and think analytically. Look at the politicians that can help your destiny, can help the destiny of this great nation, and prepare your heart to go out and vote. You see all these permutations and calculations, many of those calculations are going to fail.
All right.
They die. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Kennedy Ojo. We appreciate your comment. Keep the calls coming in. 0705 500 1033 091 6000 1033. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Oluwatosin says my name. I'm calling from Sam here in Oloso.
Welcome, sir.
Yeah, I also want to contribute to this issue.
Let's go ahead. Very quickly.
My question that I have for my honorable and comrade is that why have our people been running elder-skelter for the past 10 years or 15 years that we've been having killings here in Nigeria? It is now that the government are now running elder-skelter, and there are some kind of biased judgment that the Americans are coming for the Muslims. Is what America said, and we coming for Muslims. They say they are coming here to fight terrorists, the jihadists, the Islamists that want to turn Nigeria to bloody nation. And some people have been criticizing them. I want to now ask that who exactly is the motive behind those people's reaction? And also on the issue of PDP, how genuine is the government, the judgment that was given by the Oyo State Court? I will feel very strong. That's my question. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taiwo. Appreciate your comment. Did Engineer Gabriel, did you get his questions?
Yeah, one of the I think the last one.
Okay, I think the first question is saying that those who are criticizing United States trying to come and help Nigeria to fight terrorism, why are they reacting that? Why are they criticizing?
I think the bad eggs who have the power of media are trying to change the narrative to say that America is coming to fight Muslims. America is not coming to fight Muslims.
No.
You know, so that there will be an uproar against America.
In fact, the Muslim community have been saying that this is not a religious matter all this while. So, you know, they too are affected anyway.
Yeah.
So it's all about